Wouldn't you love to create your own personal oasis? What is an oasis, you ask? An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find at AJO Consulting Services, LLC. AJO Consulting Services is a company that provides individuals, communities, and businesses of color with coaching and consulting services, personal and professional development, as well as social and community connection services. These services include, but are not limited to, dating, life, relationship, and business coaching, finance management, travel experience curation, wellness navigation, and much more. Are you ready to find, connect, and release? Come experience your oasis today. Visit our website to learn more at www.ajoconsultingservices.com. Follow us on Facebook at AJO Consulting and Instagram at AJO Consult. Also, email us at info@ajoconsultingservices.com. Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Oasis podcast. We are joined again today with Mr. Mac, the travel guy. Hey, Mac.
Good morning.
As promised from our last episode, where we talked about solo travel versus group travel, and we included some vacation tips in there. We wanted to deliver this episode in regards to perks of traveling, right? Or travel perks, essentially. And so we're going to touch on some things that we might have mentioned the last episode or expound on some of those things, but also include some new things that we may not have mentioned. But we feel like, those who are willing to travel, able to travel, or interested in travel might be able to look into to make their travel experience just that much better. If this is the first time that, viewers and listeners are either seeing you or hearing you, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
You can find me on IG and YouTube at Mac the Travel Guy. As stated in previous episodes, my passion for traveling has started out since I was a young kid. That has just evolved over time as an adult.
I guess to date, how many places have you been to?
A lot that I haven't really counted the number, but I've been to a few. I've touched 5 of the 7 continents.
Okay. That's amazing. I need to be like you when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? No. I'm trying to get you back.
One trip at a time. That's it. One trip at a time. That's how I do.
Right. All right. So let's just jump right into it. So I know I've seen one of your recent posts on Instagram, and you were talking about airport access lounges and things of that nature. And that made me kind of sparked my thoughts to be like, hey, let me reach out and we can talk about this, because these are some things that a lot of people might feel like it's out of their reach, or maybe, something that they never thought of. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
I'm very new to lounge access as well. I'm exercising some of the perks of the credit cards. It's, from what I can tell, that I've seen other people, that I follow other people on social media, it's a very luxurious perk, but primarily for those that like to show up to the airport early, because you have to have time to get through the security checkpoints in order to, actually enjoy and access the lounges.
Okay. Is this something you have partaken in, or are you, have enjoyed before?
I have not. And so my upcoming trip to Nairobi will be my first time actually using the Delta Lounge as well as the priority pass.
Okay. So what do they promise comes with this lounge access?
A lot. It's free and better Wi-Fi, your free drinks and meals or snacks, depending on the lounge. I know like the Amex Centurion lounges, you have like free meals, or they give you meal credits, varying anywhere between $26 to $32 per person. So yeah, I'm very interested in learning how to get that free meal and that free drink before I catch my flight.
Okay, I hear that, because airport food is okay.
It's quite expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap at all. So how do you gain access to the lounges? So is it merely just having the credit card? Do you have to spend a certain amount of money? Like, how does that work?
Right. So one perk or one way to access the lounges are benefits of having certain credit cards, specifically like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, Capital One, the Venture X, or the one that I currently hold, which is the Delta Amex Sky Miles card. Those get you access to lounges in varying degrees of levels of access to, right? Which I found out. So for instance, I also am a Hilton Honors Amex card holder. So that gives me 10 free visits per year to access a lounge. Now, what I recently found out is that I don't have access to the priority passes restaurant. So that I will actually have to pay out of pocket for. But the cool factor is, you still have access to the lounge itself. Again, the better Wi-Fi. You still get the free drink and snacks. So, and a little bit more comfortable chairs to relax in. So.
Okay. So outside of the lounges, what else does the card offer? I mean, you mentioned maybe some access to certain hotels, right? But what about certain seating on the plane, things of that nature?
Right. So again, it all depends, and a lot of that has to do with co-branded cards. For instance, I can speak to Deltas. Having a Delta co-branded card, it gives you, and depending on the level of card too, right? So not to go deep in the credit cards, but starting at like the very lowest, like the Delta Amex Gold card, it just gives you the free check baggage for you and up to, I believe, like 6 passengers on that same travel itinerary. So that in and of itself, I mean, at $30, one way, if you do the math, you add that up, times 6 people, that's a cost of a plane ticket in some cases, right? So it gives you great savings on that. Now, the Delta Reserve card that I have grants me elite status, if you will, where I get up the free seat upgrades up to and including like business or first class, provided that there is space at no additional cost, just because I carry that card. So those are some of the perks and benefits of having those cards.
Okay, so they allow you to kind of fly in style if you so choose, right? Being able to, one, qualify for the car, and then maintaining the car, of course, is a stipulation. But that definitely is a nice added perk, right? For someone who does travel often, will utilize the card. It makes sense to, one, not only have it, but to utilize it and get all the extra, little perks that come with it.
Correct.
Okay.
So just to clarify real quick, so in regards, and again, people that are into the credit card points and games system, like I said, this is a co-branded card that I have through American Express that is specific to Delta, right? But then there are other cards that can redeem points, just like the Amex Platinum versus the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I think there's the Capital One Venture X. So within those credit card companies, those portals, you can maximize those points that you earn, while using the card. But the one I have is specific to Delta. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have a Chase credit card. I can't remember which one. But that one, yeah, just like what you said, you gain points when you spend on certain things, and sometimes you gain more for other things than others, but you can utilize them if I wanted to use my points for a plane ticket, if I wanted to use it for other things, or if you shop through their customer portal or whatever, rewards portals, you get access to certain things. So yeah, that is definitely a perk of certain credit cards that's not specific to just, like what you mentioned, just the airlines. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And so here's another question in regards to the cars and the lounges, lounge access, etc. Is there a annual fee? Because I know some cards carry an annual fee. And so those who might be interested might, want to know that ahead of time.
Yes. If you get it through the credit card, there's a hefty annual fee. For instance, the Delta Reserve, that's, damn near almost $600, but if you weigh out the travel credits, like for instance, I on that card alone, I have access to Delta One's Sky Mile Lounge, as well as Amex Centurion lounges, right? So those are 2 different sets of lounges that I can gain access to based on that card, plus a whole bunch of other travel benefits that really kind of negate the annual fee. So there's a trade-off. Now, the Amex Hilton Aspire card, the other co-branded card that I have, now that has a $95 annual fee. All right. And so when I did the math, comparing just holding that credit card versus actually purchasing from Priority Pass, it comes out a lot cheaper having that co-branded card. Because if you were to purchase directly through Priority Pass, it's about almost $250 for the same level of access that I get for $95 through the Hilton card. So some of those, yes, but like the American Express Centurion Lounge, I believe you can only get those like with the Delta Reserve card or the Delta Platinum. I believe even with the Chase Sapphire Preferred and maybe Capital Ones, I'm not 100% sure. Although I know Capital One has its own brand of lounges, which I've seen on YouTube, which looks pretty nice.
Okay. So that's definitely important to know for those who are interested in the cards. Yes, there are annual fees depending on the perks that are provided. You know, they may be a little hefty, right? They may be up there a little bit, but again, doing the mathematics, right? Making sure you figure it out like, hey, how much am I going to travel? How much do I feel that these perks are worth? You know, does the math make sense? And then you can definitely, you know, decide based off of that. I guess another question I have too, you mentioned Hilton a few times, but it's tied into one of the cards you have. Do you also have, or do you know of, you know, I know hotels also have their own little reward systems and they have their cards. If you get their cards, you have access to their hotels in different cities or different countries. Have you ever tried that, or what do you know about that as well?
Yes. So, you know, I've always kind of stayed at Hilton shamelessly because at their DoubleTree specifically, you know, they give you like chocolate chip cookies upon check-in. So, you know, they kind of had me hooked in with that years ago. So, you know, fast forward to present day, you know, and got my credit and stuff, you know, straight where I can, you know, apply for these cards and be approved. So with that, you get complimentary status upgrades. So it's basically in addition to being their loyalty program, which most airlines and hotels have like free loyalty programs you can join.
Writing Our Own Stories Incorporated is an organization that embraces and uplifts authors of color and equips them with the tools and resources to write their stories. Writing Our Own Stories Incorporated provides seminars, workshops, and a collaborative writing group setting where authors can feel free to write. We believe in the transformative power of storytelling, and we will continue to make space for all stories to be told. Writing Our Own Stories Incorporated provides a safe and welcoming space for all aspiring authors to tell their story. If you're interested in joining our writing group or learning more about our organization, check out our website at www.writingourownStoriesInc.org. That's www.writingourownStoriesInc.org. And make sure and follow us on IG and Facebook at Writing Our Own Stories. Writing Our Own Stories, Inc. has released its debut book, For Black Women, by Black Women, an anthology of lessons learned. This debut anthology is a love letter to Black women and for everyone who loves, knows, or wants to support Black women. Purchase your copy of the anthology at www.writingourownStoriesInc.org. Again, that's www.writingourownStoriesInc.org.
So once you're already a member and then you have what they call a co-branded credit card, you get complimentary status upgrades, you know, so things like the free mini bar or, you know, free drink or wine upon check-in, you know, things of that nature.
Okay. So again, another good tip. If you are a hotel person, everyone isn't a hotel person when they like to travel, but if you are, you know, if you feel more secure traveling and going to a hotel, then that's actually a good perk, right? Yeah, the rewards, the loyalty programs are definitely free, which is true. So you can sign up for those, all of those if you want to, but they give you, like what Max said, they do give you access to certain things, certain upgrades. They give you access to certain rooms or certain rates as well, if you are, you know, a frequent user of their property. And so definitely look into that if you are interested. Sign up for those. Again, they're free. If you're not willing to like spend the money up front, that's cool, because they have free, they offer free things, but of course they also offer, if you pay, you get a little extra. So it's good to sign up, get a feel of the different hotels and what they offer in the different places. And then if you want to upgrade that, definitely upgrade that. So I know you travel abroad. And you know, when you go to resorts and things, they like to try to sell you these, they don't call them timeshares no more. I don't even know what they call them no more. But I know when I went to DR, right, they tried to sell that, whatever they was calling it, access to their to their network, right, of resorts and things like that. And I mean, for me, the math wasn't mathing, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, but some people think that, you know, some people are open to that, right? They're willing to, like, it kind of takes the guesswork out of some part of travel, right? Of like, okay, I know I'm going to go to a location, I don't know where to stay. Boom, if I'm already signed into this network, I already paid into it, I can just, okay, fine. Okay, do they have a hotel or a resort at this location I can go? So for some people, it makes sense, right? Some people, it's a good thing for them to take part in. What are your thoughts about those type of networks, or buying into and sharing a space essentially?
So that's a new market for me, right? Like I've never owned a timeshare, and I know some hotel chains, depending on where you're at, have like those types of seminars. You know, I think I attended one years ago, and that was just basically to get like the free night or free points or whatever it was. Like, you know, I listened to him talk for a half hour, or whatever. But I've never honestly purchased a timeshare. Now I do know some people that own timeshares, and they seem to enjoy it. I guess it's one of those things that you either love it or hate it, you know, or use it to lose it, you know, kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, again, personal thoughts and opinions. I feel the amount of money that goes into it, it has to make sense to the individual, right? If you're not really a traveler and you're pouring all this money in that you're never going to use, it doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense for, I might travel once or twice a year. It makes more sense to just save the coins and purchase when you need to purchase and travel when you need to travel. But if you're an avid traveler, you travel maybe with like tons of family, you probably have kids and all that, like that might make sense. Like, okay, I pay this up front, I don't have to worry when I'm trying to plan to know where to look for places to stay, and you guys are giving me this level of discount. Yeah, I say go for it, and it makes sense. But definitely read the fine print, ask the questions, right? Because a lot of times they want to make the sale and it may not even be to your benefit. Take the time to calculate the math. Like, if it needs to make sense before jumping into those things. But just like when Max said, some people enjoy them. It's really up to the individual. Some people love them, some people hate them. I've heard horror stories about buying into these things and never getting to utilize it, and they just keep taking your money. And then there are stories of people like, I love it, I go, you know, X amount of times a year and I have access and I let my friends use it, and it's beneficial, you know what I'm saying? But really be smart about before you sign on that dotted line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So any other tips that you want to provide the listeners and the viewers, that, or even things you wish you knew when you started traveling?
Honestly, you know, I really wish that I knew about the lounge, you know, access, you know, like those, you know, benefits and things like that it can provide and give you, you know, while you're traveling, especially for those that have long layovers. You know, it's especially helpful in those situations. That said, I don't know if we may mention about the global entry and pre-check, you know, things.
We haven't actually. TSA PreCheck and global entry are really, really great for people who, I think if you're going to travel, I think more than twice a year, I think that you should get it. Matter of fact, I think you just get it. It's really, you spend that amount of money on much less. Okay. Exactly. I think global entry is like $100, I think, or something like that. And I think TSA PreCheck maybe like $85 or some of that nature. But if you get global entry, you also get TSA PreCheck. So I think it just makes more sense just to get the global entry. It's for 5 years. Both of them are for 5 years. And you get both benefits. So just to break it down a little bit, the basic one is TSA PreCheck. And I know if you guys have been in the airport, you'll see that long winding line. And then you see the other line and people are just zooming through. That's TSA PreCheck. Okay.
Correct.
So the perk of that is you don't have to stand on that long ass line.
but also you are already pre-screened, right? So they already asked for certain documents for you when you are applying. They ask for certain information about you. They do a background check essentially. And so you've already provided them certain information. And so that's why when you do actually get to the airport, you can kind of zoom through. They don't require you. Well, I think this varies depending on either the airport or whatever machines they may be using. But for the most part, they don't require you to take out any of your electronics out of your bag. You don't even have to take your shoes off. You know, I think at most you might have to take off a sweater or something like that. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. So if you want and you like that aspect of it, that in itself is the best part. Like that in itself is amazing. But also not having to stand on that line. That's the best part for me. Okay. Like, it is so quick, so easy. And for TSA PreCheck, $85. Take my money. You can have all the money. Okay. Just take it. And then now global entry, it includes TSA PreCheck. So you have access to TSA PreCheck, but also an added benefit when you're coming back into the country, into the US, you again don't have to stand on that long ass line, right? When you're trying to get back into the US to get cleared to make sure, you know, you're supposed to be here or legally allowed to be here. Because again, you have gone through that process already. And all you got to do, you got to just go straight. You can either do it yourself. You can check in yourself with your passport and they verify you. That takes less than like 2-3 minutes. Like it's very quick. Or you can go ahead and have an agent help you and it's boom, boom, done. Like that was one of probably the best. When I was coming back from Turks and Caicos, I said, oh, I can use my global entry. Boop, boop, boop. Yes.
Yeah.
It was great. It was so good. Anything else you want to add about that?
No, you covered it right there. I couldn't have said it, better myself. Just having that benefit of expedited service coming back in, it's worth this weight in gold. As they say, time is precious. So if you can, maximize any of those efforts, to get through airport and security screening, by all means, it is more of a benefit to you, to do that.
Absolutely. It is definitely, if you are one of those people, maybe again, you're not an avid traveler, you want to get into it, or you are a seasoned traveler and you're again, what Max said, time is money, time is gold, right? Time is important. And you just like that extra comfort. Okay. You just want that. That's just something that you like. Invest in TSA PreCheck, invest in global entry. It is definitely worth it. You will have no regrets. I promise. Okay. No regrets.
But getting there, obviously first and foremost, you got to get to the airport, right? That's key. In order to even access those benefits, but you have to get there early. So what I will say is that lounge access is mainly beneficial for those that get to the airport early, or if you have a long connecting layover. Mm-hmm. So that being said, and there are certain lounges you can't buy into, like for instance, again, you have to have a certain class ticket. I know for Delta, if you purchase like a first class ticket or business ticket, I think you get complimentary access. I could be mistaken on that, but I do believe that that's correct. And they're like the Amex Centurion lounges, you have to have a certain level of American Express card in order to gain access to that. But Priority Pass, you can make those purchases. You can purchase directly from Priority Pass and gain access to to those lounges. So my only advice would be like we touched on before earlier, would be the way the pros and cons of some of these cards with the hefty annual fees. Mm-hmm. Make sure that it's beneficial and workable for you.
All right. Well, thank you, Max, for coming back on here and throwing us some gems. I really appreciate it. So tell the listeners and the viewers what's up next for you, as well as where to find you.
What's up next with me is my solo trip to Nairobi, which I'm at the 50-day mark. I just looked at it today. I'm 50 days away from check-in. You can find me on Instagram at Mac the Travel Guy, as well as YouTube and TikTok. Although I rarely, I try to find reasons to post on there, but you can find me on TikTok, all social media platforms at Mac the Travel Guy.
Thank you. Thank you again for coming on and blessing us with your presence and your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Have a great one.
You too.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.